Well, this is exciting. I am doing LinkedIn Lives with all 22, yes, 22 of the Practical Inspiration authors who were shortlisted for the Business Book Awards this year. So today I'm here with Catherine Oliver, who's the author of Working Parents to Be. Here's a quick flash of isn't that gorgeous? Brilliant. So first of all, congratulations. But first of all, for my questions, tell us why you wrote this book.
Why I wrote the book. So for me, I just really wanted to help people. To make a difference to the thousands of people who are becoming parents every year, who have a lot of challenges in the back of their mind, worries about work, but they kind of put them away because they're so focused, and rightly so, on the excitement of their new arrival and what that means for them. That work's kind of tomorrow's problem.
It's kind of hard to think about anything apart from the fact that you're going to have a baby.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That was exactly what was going through my mind. Oh, my God. But I did have all these worries as well. And you just put them away. You put them in this little box. And I really wanted to sort of help them in two key ways. So firstly was to just feel that they're not alone. You know, like these problems, these challenges, this stuff that's whirring away in the back of your mind. Like, you know, I won't be missed. You know, somebody else is going to do my job better than me. How am I going to manage it all? What's going to happen with my career? All this stuff is kind of floating around.
Oh, I hear you.
You just sort of put it away. And I really wanted to raise awareness of that. And normalize it. You know, this is normal. This stuff is going on in everybody's minds, and not just for the individuals, but also for the people around them, for the managers and that, to know that these are the concerns and things that are going on for people. And then secondly, and almost in some respects more importantly, that there is something they can do about it. So, you know, most people you talk to, they just kind of muddle through. They think that they're going to have to just muddle through it, and that's what they do. I regularly speak to second or third time parents. And they will have been, you know, a session will have been arranged by their employer, and they'll sometimes verbalize it. They'll start the session by saying, well, this was organized for me, it's great, but I've done this before, you know, I think I'm fine. And actually, when they've had the session, they're just like, wow, I had no idea this could be better. You know, there's kind of acceptance that becoming a working parent is hard, right? And that's just it. And you just have to accept that. And I really want to change that.
Well, and that leads me beautifully to my next question, which is, like, why does it matter? Like, what does it matter? And why does it matter for the individual reading the book? Why does it matter for our organizations? Why does it matter for our whole work culture?
Yeah. Well, I think it matters because historically this has not been available before, right? Some people don't even know, or a lot of people don't even know it exists. Back to my example of those sort of second and third time parents, they don't know it's there. They don't know what difference it can make. And there's kind of this, I think for me, it started back when I set up the parent network at Sky. So for me personally, I'd had my child, I'd gone back to work. And I remember vividly standing in front of the mirror one morning going, oh my God, these challenges, you know, I thought I was going to nail this by now, you know, and I realized that it was just going to keep going, but just be different. And I wanted that network with others who got it and understood what these challenges were like. Again, to just not feel alone. Actually, that's what I was basically looking for. Yeah. How do I not feel alone?
The power of community. Yeah.
Yeah. And what can I do about it? I must be able to do things. There must be things I can do about this. And I thought I'd had this amazing, brilliant idea, the genius idea. And then I very quickly realized that whilst the business I worked for, which was Sky at the time, hadn't done this, hadn't got employee networks at this stage. So this is back in 2012. There were organizations out there that had recognized this and had started to do that. But then ever since then, and although it's started to trickle down, and I'm very proud that I now work with some smaller organizations, which is brilliant, there are still thousands and thousands of people out there who don't get this kind of support. And for me, it's kind of a story of haves and have-nots, which has never sat right for me. It's never felt right. Why are there these lucky few out there who get this kind of support? And then there's all of these other people who get nothing, you know, like that doesn't feel right to me. And it's kind of an extension of this idea almost of a parenting gap that's been coming to me recently, because, you know, it's not just this sort of support. There's paid parental leave, you know, it depends on your family situation, your employer, where you live in the world. All of this stuff has a massive impact on the experience that you have of becoming a working parent and going on leave and coming back. So the book for me is my attempt at starting to close that gap, you know, starting to make a difference for those people. And to your point around individuals and their organizations, it's very much for both. Yeah, so the book is written for individuals to try and help them guide themselves through it and realize that they can take ownership. And that kind of empowerment that comes from, I can do something, like that I get at the end of sessions, that it's not something happening to them. It's something that they can do something about. But it's also written for managers and for organizations to help their people, so that they can understand the challenges and they can understand the role that they play in helping them. So I've got key takeaways at the end, and some are for the individual and some are for the partner or those people around, and then for the managers and the rest of the teams to kind of get that and to sort of see, actually, from my perspective, I could really make a difference here. I could help them just by opening this conversation, because I get it now. That's going to be hard from their point of view to even start this conversation. Whereas for me, it's really easy, right? I can do that. And again, when I do sessions for managers, you really see that kind of light bulb of, wow, okay, it's just, don't make assumptions and talk to them. It's a lot of it's actually quite straightforward, a lot of it, but
it sounds easy, but it's really hard, actually, because I think a lot of managers don't quite know what they can say, and they don't want to, go into the personal, and actually it feels like a really tricky conversation to have, and therefore, if you don't quite know what you're doing, you don't have it.
Exactly. The fear of doing or saying the wrong things makes most managers, like, their default. If they're really good, they'll get over that. But for a lot of them, it's so frightening and they've got so much else going on. It's not their priority, actually. Like, they think that somebody's fine. So if they think they look okay, they leave them to it, and they talk about handover and cover and return dates and stuff. They deal with the stuff they have to deal with.
Above the waterline stuff.
Yeah, but they don't deal with all the stuff going on underneath that makes such a big difference to what that person's experience actually is.
And such a big difference as well for the organization in terms of engagement and retention and talent management and all that good stuff. Yeah,
exactly. A huge difference, that which obviously a lot of organizations are focusing on, even more. And this, it's like a small thing. And actually, for me as well, the book is a way to say, if you don't know where to start as an organization, start with this, gift it, and actually for me, that's becoming one of the biggest sort of routes out there to get the awareness of this out there, is companies gifting it to their employees. So those people that I was talking about earlier who don't really, well, why do I need that? What's that about? That whole don't know what they don't know. But the organizations get it. And then it's a really low cost way of them providing this support without having to hire somebody like me to come in and run sessions or workshops. They can do it. They can say, right, here you go. Here's this lovely book. Congratulations. Hope everything's going really well. We know it can be difficult, but this is a starting point. And then also gift it to their managers so that their managers have got something. Because again, it depends on the stage they're at when things are happening, but for them to have something to refer to at the different points, and go, actually, hang on a minute, what was it? What do I do now they're coming back? I haven't spoken to them for ages. How do I re-engage? All that kind of thing. Something to just pick up and put down and go, all right, okay, just give them a nudge, a pointer in the right direction.
It's such a lovely example of how you can use a book in the business, and as you say, from both aspects, from the individual affected, but also their manager. So yay for books in businesses. We love that. Catherine, I'm going to ask you one last question, which is, how did you react when you heard you'd been shortlisted?
Do you know what? I was actually in Morocco with my family on holiday, Easter holidays, and we were away. So I was gutted that I missed the reveal event. And obviously, I was even more so when I found out that I'd got through. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I remember turning to my husband and my daughter, just going, "You're never going to guess what? You're never going to guess what? Like, I've got in. I'm shortlisted. This is amazing." And I was just thinking, that moment. I would so love to have been there in that moment on the evening. And it has been, there's been so many great moments over the last year, and somehow you sort of think, how does this not get old? But it just doesn't. And I think part of that is driven from the passion and the excitement that I could make a difference with this. And this is another way, a great way for me to raise awareness of it and try and close that gap. Which is just, it's obviously just become a bit of a mission for me, but I'm so excited about it.
I am so excited for you. It's just amazing. It's great. So, well, congratulations again. I think you're going to be there, aren't you? On
Absolutely. I'm not missing that.
We'll have our glad rags on and we will have a great night, whatever the outcome. But
yes,
I will look forward to seeing you there.
Exactly.
Thanks for your time today. It's really fun for me just to kind of revisit the books that we published last year and just kind of reconnect with the mission, the value behind them, but also to hear how they're working out in the world, in the wild, and couldn't be more proud.
Well, thank you so much for everything you've done to get it out there in the world as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Catherine.
Thank you.